In this video, we are going to talk about what I learned from 4 years of podcasting, which is an eternity. My name's Eric Siu. I'm going to show you how to grow and scale your business. So, for context, I have a podcast called Marketing School, which I co-host with my partner, Neil Patel. And also, I have the Growth Everywhere podcast. That's the one that I started for over 4 years. And one gets $550,000 a month. The other one's about $70,000. And you're probably thinking, those numbers are unattainable. I'm never going to be able to get there. But you are going to be able to get there because the number one lesson I learned from 4 years of podcasting is it just takes time, right? Boring consistency is something I talked about. Just takes time to grow your podcast over time. With Growth Everywhere, I was spending 6 hours a week on each and every interview that I did, and that's a weekly podcast, right? So you multiply, 6 hours, my God, per week, and then you do that for what? That's the 24 hours, right? You add that up over time, my God, you're spending what? That's like 300 hours a year. And guess what kind of results I was getting after the first year? I was getting 9 downloads a day. By all accounts, most people would have given up by that point, right? But for me, I kept going. I just kept going because I knew I was onto something. I spent another year doing the same thing. And by the way, this is when my business was on fire. When I started the podcast, my business was on fire. I probably should have given up. Anybody that was logical probably should have given up. After the first year, I was only getting 54 downloads a day, right? And now, okay, at that point, I probably should have given up, but I kept going. Nowadays, in some cases, sometimes I'll get, up to $10,000 a day, right? But, I'm averaging out about $70,000 a month. We also have a good amount of views also on the YouTube channel as well, coming from the podcast. Now, the reason why I kept going was because of the unsolicited responses I was getting. I was getting emails, I was getting tweets from people saying, Eric, I don't know why this isn't more popular, but this is my favorite podcast right now. I love the stuff that you're doing. I really appreciate it. It's really helped me. That's the stuff that keeps you going, right? Because as long as you know that you're helping people, I actually get more value from that, right? It's with the podcast, I've never particularly sold anything. I've tried different things on it, but we haven't sold any ad space or anything like that. I just knew that based on the unsolicited responses, based on the help that people were getting from me, that I should keep going. That's the only reason I kept going. So whether you're starting a blog, whether you're starting a podcast, you're starting a YouTube channel, you just got to keep going. You got to understand that it's going to take time. You're going to suck in the beginning, and it's okay. That's the number one thing that I learned from 4 years of podcasting. Now, number two, I learned the power of collaborating with other people. So with Growth Everywhere, just interviewing people that I considered stars, people that I looked up to, people that also had an audience as well, because they're willing to promote to their audience, and that's going to help you grow faster, right? That's the second thing I learned, collaborating with people. Also at the same time, in the same vein, I look at Marketing School, which I do with Neil, and we collaborate. It's us two doing it all the time, right? That's what I learned from that as well. Now the third thing is I learned to not look for anything, because in general, it's not like, oh, we need to make X amount of dollars, we need to monetize the podcast. I got all these unforeseen benefits from podcasting because I stuck with it. I just didn't expect anything back, and which is why I still do it today. I get so much goodwill from it, and we'll talk about in another video kind of the benefits, the unforeseen benefits that you can get from podcasting. But these are just a couple lessons that I learned over time. But the number one is just staying with it. As long as you're getting unsolicited responses, you can call it your URR, your unsolicited response rate. You're onto something, stick with it. Whatever it is you're doing, please just do it. It's not like I'm special or anything. I just stick with it a little longer. I know how to. Here's another tip for you actually, and this is like life in general or business in general. Bonus tip, right? If you want to learn how to have the grit to kind of suck it up and stick through things, play poker. I played like 14 to 17 hours a day, just like a complete side note, but it helps so much because you learn to control your emotions more, and it helps so much with business because it's just up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Just keep going, right? So if you are tired of not collecting a paycheck, if you're tired of sucking, tired of not growing, hit subscribe. We're gonna give you more tips. We're gonna help you grow. We're gonna make you a superstar. See you in the next video.